Good morning, BookTube. This is Johnny. I was debating whether to make a video, but I decided, it's been a couple of days, and my wife just left with her sister-in-law to go out to celebrate her sister-in-law's birthday, Gail. So Carol's gone, and the house is quiet for the time being. I keep expecting somebody to come to the front door. Usually, our oldest son, who lives down the street, on his lunch break, he takes his new dog, Ollie, for a walk. Yesterday, they showed up here at noon. So I hope that as I'm making this video that they don't show up, because it is going to 11:48, and they could come to the door and come right in as I'm talking to you guys. So it is June the 12th here in West Michigan. It is 11:48 on a late Wednesday morning. I am sitting in the dining room. This is like my office. This is where my study. It's where I spend a lot of time reading and writing and just drifting through space. As far as my diary for 2019, I'm on page 522 for June 2019. We're coming to the middle of the month. The middle of the month will be the 15th, which is this coming Saturday. And it says here the 14th is Flag Day. So today is the 12th, a Wednesday. We have 202 days left in this year. And so I've been writing in my diary. This morning I've been reading this pretty steadily in the mornings. Theological, Practical Theology, Faith in the Triune God by Volume 2 by Petrus van Mastricht, translated by Todd and Reasoner. He lived from 1630 to 1706, was a Dutch theologian, and I've shown you volume 1 of this. This is volume 2. I think I got it last week. It came in the mail, and I've been reading it. This morning I had to take my wife's car in for an oil change at Joe's Auto Shop down the street, and I read this for devotions. I'm reading on the existence and knowledge of God. And I read almost 100 pages of this volume since I've gotten it, so I'm really enjoying it. And it's like I'll read Reform. Well, this is Dutch Reformed theology, 17th century Dutch Reformed theology. I'll read it for a while, and then I'm reading that Reformation commentary on Romans 1 through 8. And I told you I'm trying not to get too sidetracked, just staying with a couple books. And so I've been reading those in the mornings. Yesterday I got before I showed you what I got in the mail, I show you what I've been reading. I didn't do a Monday reads. I didn't do a Tuesday reads. So I'm doing a Wednesday reads. And been reading Ohio, a novel by Stephen Markley. I read this some more yesterday. The novel is around 481 pages. I've read 173 pages. I also got in the mail last week. This was published in 2010. This is by Stephen Markley. Published this book, The Unbelievable True Story of How I Wrote, Sold, and Published This Very Book, a Premature Memoir. So I was reading this, and this came out in 2018. This novel that I was all over BookTube, and it got good reviews. And let me see when it came out. I'll make sure it came out when this came out. 2018, yes. So he wrote this. This came out in 2010, and 8 years later he came out with, well, I'm sure he was working on Ohio, this novel, as he was writing this, because when I'm reading this, published this book, there's certain parts of it that remind me of what is written in his novel, Ohio. Now, as I'm reading Ohio, there's things I like, and there's things I don't like, the bad and the good. And I personally, I'd check it out of the library and read it. I wouldn't go out and spend money on it. Well, there's very few books that I would tell people to go out and spend $25, $30 on a book. Now, I told you I got this at our local privately owned bookstore in downtown Holland. She put it out. I got it for like 50% off. I think I paid maybe $12 for it, or $13. And if you see it used, or you see it 50% off, or you see it on Amazon cheap, I'd buy it. But I wouldn't spend $27 retail for it. Now, maybe you want to support the writer. When I cataloged this book, this novel and library thing, not many people had it. So maybe it got a lot of good reviews, but it didn't really sell. So I don't really know. As far as published this book, it's okay. If you want to know the struggles of being a writer, the steps and how you go about getting a book published, a novel or a piece of your writing, and the life of a writer, the struggles, the disappointments, the ups and downs, the dreams, the nightmares. But one thing I don't like about this book, I don't like his crudeness. He uses a lot of vulgar humor, potty humor, a lot of very outrageous sexual kind of things, which kind of turn me off as a Christian. I don't see the purpose of it. There's some of this in Ohio, some just very explicit sex scenes, which I don't think is really necessary, but I don't know. So I also been reading, I told you, I read a crime novel, a couple of crime novels every year, just once in a while, and I've been reading Nemesis, a Harry Hole novel by the Norwegian crime writer Joe Nesbo. This is translated out of Norwegian by Don Burnett. I'm almost finished with this. I think I've been, like I said, you can sit down and read a crime novel in a day, or at least 2 days. If you're not, well, I'm retired, I'm not working, I'm not raising a family, I'm not involved in a bowling league, I don't go out to bars and shoot darts, I'm not into sports, I'm not into fishing or things like that. But if you have a lot of time, you're retired or not working, or maybe you're sitting on some beach in the Caribbean, you probably could read this in a day. But I've read 261 pages. I could finish this today if I wanted to. It's okay. Now, once again, I bought this used. I got it for $1. I wouldn't go out and spend money on this thing. It's like it goes for $15. But, it all depends what your literary taste is. Like I said, now I would go out and spend money on this. But I got this book. It goes for $55. And when I bought this from Dr. Beakey, Reformation Heritage Books, I paid $33 for it, which to me is worth it. It's brand new. It's something I enjoy reading. I like to read Reformed theology once in a while. So yeah. So I did get books in the mail yesterday. I came across this Russian writer. I look at this literary site that talks about every month it says the best translation work of each month that they recommend, and they recommend it in the month of May of 2019. Now this is not the one they recommended. This is an earlier novel of his. He's a Russian writer. His name is Eugene Vodolazkin. I can't pronounce his name, but this is his novel Laurus, and it just really intrigued me. It was Antonius Leash recommended it. I just showed you a novel of his I bought a couple weeks ago. He calls it The Remarkable Russian's Answer to the Name of the Rose. It was a winner of the National Big Book Award. It was winner of the Yushna Polena Book Award. It won all kinds of Russian literary awards. It's a story of a 15th century holy man and his spiritual quest, and it interweaves medieval folklore. It interweaves Russian Orthodox spirituality. It just looked really interesting. It says here, 15th century Russia is a time of plagues and pestilence. A young healer skilled in the art of herbs and remedies finds himself overcome with grief and guilt when he fails to save the life of his beloved. Leaving behind his village, his possessions, and his name, he sets out on a quest for redemption, penniless and alone, but this is no ordinary journey. Wandering across plague-ridden Europe, offering his healing powers to all in need, he travels through ages and countries, encountering a rich tapestry of wayfarers along the way, accosted by highwaymen, lynched in the Balkans, and washed overboard at sea. He eventually reaches Jerusalem, only to find his greatest challenges yet to come. And this is translated out of Russian by Lisa J. Hayden. This is Laurus, Eugene Vodolazkin. So I got that in the mail. I'll probably read this after I finish Joe Nesbo and Reading Ohio. I also got this first volume of Vasily Grossman's Stalingrad. This is translated out of the Russian by Robert Chandler and Elizabeth Chandler. I already had the second volume. This just came out. This was published earlier, A Life and Fate by Vasily Grossman. So now I have both of them. And I don't know when I'll begin to read this. It's over like 2,000 pages of massive writing. But it looks really interesting. I read the introduction last night of Stalingrad, and I read a couple of the first. I could really get into this, but I got that in the mail. So now I have this massive thing. You could probably spend a year reading this. Well, it'll take me at least a year. So that's what I got in the mail yesterday. I got a book coming in the mail today. It's a biography on Hugh Walpole. I showed you his novels I got from the Book Nook Monday. No, it was Monday last week. Now, it is a Monday. No, it's not a Monday. It's a Tuesday. I went to the Book Nook on Monday and I got books. And yesterday I went to a thrift store and got books. But I don't feel like showing them today or this afternoon. Now it's 12:01 because I don't want to make this video really long. And I got at least 20 used books to show you guys. And I'll probably do that the next time I'm alone, or maybe go down the lower level and show them, or go into my main study and show them. But no. What I want to do is I thought I would just close this video with Oh, I don't know. Maybe I won't. I was going to go take you down in the lower level and show you my new bookcases that I got a couple of weeks ago. But I don't want to make this video too long. I noticed that the videos that I get the most views are bookshelf tours and bookcases. And I have 3-4 new bookcases down the lower level. And I thought about doing a bookshelf tour. But one thing about the lower level, the lighting is horrible. It is dark and down there, and I don't have any proper lighting. Yeah, I should put new fluorescent lights down there, but I never get around to going to a local hardware store and getting those 2 bulbs, fluorescent lights. I should just do that so I can make a video showing you the lower level in a proper lighting. So that's here in my book world here on a Wednesday afternoon. I'm reading Nemesis. This is a crime novel by Joe Nesbo. I'm reading Ohio, a novel by Stephen Markley. I'm reading a memoir, published this book by Stephen Markley. And I'm reading Theoretical Practical Theology, Faith in the Triune God by Volume 2 by Petrus van Mastricht, translated out of the Dutch and Latin. The same time that they're translating this into English, they are doing a new translation of this in the Netherlands. So, and they're both working together to get a really clear translation of this classic of Dutch 17th century Dutch Reformed theology. So that's it in my book world. I'm feeling a little bit better slowly. My wife now is sick with my cold. So I gotta close because my granddaughter is at the door saying, "Hi, Papa." Till next time, bye.